wonder what it is like for the men in dating? Like, what are they thinking? What are they struggling with? Are they struggling? Wouldn't it be nice to be a fly on the wall and to actually know what's going on between their ears and what they really want? Well, I have CeCe Shatz in the house who is in the trenches of being a single woman, knows so much about this topic about men and how to navigate this very sometimes challenging journey as a single woman. So let's bring CeCe on. Hey, CeCe.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'm so thrilled because I know when we spoke and you were sharing how much you know about the dating world, what kind of expertise you bring to this topic and about men. I was like, oh my God, please, please, please come on. So I am so thrilled to have you here. Let me share a little bit about who you are. So, CeCe Chats, fondly called the doyenne of relationships, is an inspirational divorce dating, relationship building, life coach, mentor, author, business leader, and public speaker. CeCe has a unique style of healing from within, which you know is what I'm always saying. We need to heal what's inside of us. And with her intuitive skills, she reaches beyond to those who are struggling in coping and redefining their lives. CeCe has relatability as she has the been there, done that approach to life. She's been in it. She knows the landscape and she's devoted herself to helping singles through relationship loss, divorce, transition into dating, travel, and singles in business. So thrilled to have this conversation with you, CeCe.
Great being here. I love it. I love helping singles. Going solo has always been my passion.
Mm. Well, I'm curious. Let's just go right there. Going solo has always been my passion. Tell us more about why that's a passion. What does that even mean to you, going solo?
Well, a couple different things. One is, of course, I've always helped singles, move through and motivate them to move through their life and really kind of the life of their choice. Because I think, especially in this latter decade of my life, and those that I speak with generally are, on a different plane. The other thing is that we are actually all going solo, because we're a singular mindset as we move through and as we make decisions in life. And so we're all basically going solo. And so starting to understand that and really dig deep as to what we really want in our lives and what we want to try to project is mainly important. So yeah, so I really do have a passion about going solo and being the person you want to be, walking the life that you want to walk in, and truly understanding yourself. Yeah.
There's some really hot things in there, and it's things that I share often, which is going within, knowing who you are, and to have this solo journey. As you say, we always are on this solo path because it's just reality. People come and go, but we always have ourself. And while we're single and potentially wanting a partner, we still bring ourselves to the table. So, how are we being? Who are we now? What is it we desire? Because if we don't have that clarity, where are we going to go? So, how do you help people on this solo journey, especially if it's still a little bitter for them after their loss or they're in that transitional place? And trust me, we're going to get to the men, but we want to cover this ground first.
Right. Well, if you're traveling, if you're starting to transition from a relationship loss, whether it be by, broken up relationships or whether it be by death or divorce, if you're not ready, if you still feel that bitterness, you're not ready yet because you really need to understand the demise of your relationship, the part you played in the demise of your relationship. And when we have that bitterness within, we don't understand that yet. We don't understand that we actually played a part in that. And so when we can understand that part, we can accept it, we can understand from it, create awareness within ourselves, and then we can move forward in a very positive, uplifting way. And that's what we want in dating, right? We want to be positive and uplifting. Who wants to date somebody that has all this bitterness towards their ex or whatever? I mean, it doesn't say you have to be happy with them, it doesn't say you have to be best friends with them. It's just you need to get through that bitterness part of it and being able to look forward to the new life you're stepping into. And that's what's
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, it's with everything, but especially in relationships. I mean, if we're holding on to the bitterness, if we're holding on to the anger, if we're holding on to the stories of they did me wrong, or even the stories or the beliefs around relationships, the questioning whether relationships can even work out. I mean, all the things that people come to me with when they have that fear of starting over, it's like if you're holding on to all of that energy, how on earth can you move forward with grace, with positivity? And when you walk into a relationship with that bag of bitterness, it's like, who are you going to attract? And how are you going to be perceived? So, to your point, absolutely, we must empty out. We must do the healing work. And it doesn't mean wait till you're perfect, right? So, how do you talk to someone who's like, well, I've done all this work. I'm still kind of angry, but I really want to put myself out there. When do you think it's time for a person to actually start over? Like, what are some of the signs?
Well, I think that's individually it's different. It's no time frame. Often I've been asked like, what, how long meant, is it how many years you've been married, sometimes so many months, and all. No, there's no equation to it. It's really depends on yourself and how you heal through the relationship loss. And I call it a loss because that's what it is. We go through a whole grieving pattern, whether we're it's by widowhood or by a relationship breakup of some sort, whether divorce or not. We all go through that grieving, part of it. And so we have to be able to be, I think, in a mindset where we're looking forward to creating a new partnership with someone else. When we are able to open arms and saying, yes, I want someone into my life. If you're not ready to do that, you're not ready to date. And it's not like just going out there and let's say, oh, I'll just get on a dating site and just see what happens. You don't want to do that because people that are on the dating site probably are going to be at a different place that you're at. The other thing is you had mentioned attraction. You're going to be attracting individuals at the lower level, right? If you're just throwing yourself into it and you don't really know what you want, you're not really happy with your life, you're going to attract those of the same way about you. They're feeling the same way you are feeling. So you want to have your vibration level higher. So you want to be able to wait until you're ready to be really fully into it, to have your vibration up. Then you'll attract those in your life that are at the same vibration level, want the same things you want. And it'll be a much happier and peaceful, experience for you.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's just it's kind of magical in my opinion. When I work with my clients and they raise their vibe, they raise their energy, they get so much more full in the sense of what, their worthiness and what they're desiring, and they get to that readiness point. It's always so amazing to me still to this day when they call me and they say, I cannot believe who just showed up in my messaging, or how I just went on this date and we had so much in common and it was just so easy. It was never like that. And it was because they weren't like that. And I know so often I'll ask people, what is it that you want? And they make this whole list of all the things that are important to them. And I ask them, is this you? Are you living that life? How are you being with this? And it's very humbling sometimes when they're like, well, I want this type of person, but that's far from where they're vibing at. So, like, to be able to really get so clear and ready and to feel that fullness, whether that person comes or not, when that person does come, it's usually such a different fit. And it really works. It really works. It's a crazy thing. And how wonderful. So I love it. I love it. Let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about the men, because well, I love talking about the men.
I do too. I quite like them.
Yes, yes, me too, me too. So, So, what have you found when it comes to the single men? Because I know that you work with men and women. What would you say is the biggest challenge men have when it comes to starting over in the second half of life?
Well, I think they experience, believe it or not, very similar to what we experience. The different I would say the differences is that we as women express our insecurities. We share it. We're vocal. We're all of that. They don't. They keep it within. They don't want to tell anybody their weaknesses. They don't want to show that they're scared to start this new venture in life. They don't want to, share it with anyone or really maybe say, what their insecurities are, maybe even what they feel about themselves. They look in the mirror, they don't want to, they won't say just, I'm losing my hair now, I don't look the way I did before, I've gained 20 pounds or whatever. They're like they really do hold it back and don't want to really give that over because they want to be all macho. It's really they want to be macho. They want to be they are our protectors, a lot of times our providers. They're our security blanket, that type of thing. Men are, they're our fixers. And so they don't want to come across as being insecure, wimpy, that kind of thing. And so that I think is one of the challenges men have, is that they feel the same way we do, but they have to, as my mom used to say, gut it up. They have to gut it up and move forward. And sometimes that doesn't make a pleasant experience because sometimes they come across maybe a little bit more aggressive, or they don't say things they should say because they just really don't know how to handle it. So I think sometimes if we give men a little grace as we're starting to date, not be so, um, I don't want to say condescending, but so judgmental about them, that maybe we could be a little bit more understanding, because women are understanding. We do have empathy for our fellow man. And so why don't we show that to the men that we're dating? And I think maybe we'll get a different reaction.
Yeah, if we could all just be more gentle with everybody, the world would be a lot better. Uh, and yeah, I totally agree with you with all the men that I've spoken to as well, because I do primarily work with women, but I've definitely worked with men, and yeah, it's the same and different. At the end of the day, I think men and women are just scared to get hurt again ultimately, and so we've all been hurt in different ways, and so women build the walls around their heart in their ways
Mhm.
and are very careful and in their heads a lot, and might share differently, but at the same time also on guard. And men also have their walls around their heart and show up differently as well. And in the second half of life, I know that there's also, the women say I'm menopausal and my vagina is not as juicy, and the men are saying I have erectile dysfunction, or I'm afraid I may not be able to get it up. I mean, they're, different challenges, and at the end of the day, the vulnerability of I might fall short, or I might be left, or I might be rejected. So I hear you saying having more gentleness and understanding for them. And it's tricky, in my opinion, because how long do you how long do you wait? Like, I'm really good at opening up conversations with men. I have those skills, and I teach my clients how do you open up those conversations so that you can actually have vulnerability on both sides. And yet most people really don't know how to broach a topic that's a little sensitive, or the women might be afraid to say something that emasculates or comes out judgmental, and then women are on eggshells and not wanting to say anything that can take away their masculinity. And yet, if they're not feeling that connection, or the men are on guard and not opening because they're sucking it up and they're afraid of revealing, people are struggling to connect. And so again, I work with the women around how to open safely. What might you say men are doing? Because a lot of women are like, men are doing nothing. But I know men are listening to you, and men are going on their own journey. how can a woman, I know this is a little, I'm talking all over the place here, but how can a woman hold the space for a man in her fullness and her power and invite him to open when he is scared? What might you offer around that?
Well, I think women have to show their feminine side. I think so often we as women, and I'm one of them, we tend to be independent. We tend to be, go-getters in business and whatever. We run our house or our family, whatever. For years, we've been doing that, making sure the kids are off to school and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we tend to have a little bit more of a masculine side to us, and we forget about being the feminine. And I believe that number one, men, if they've been in long-term marriages and now they're finding themselves having to start over again, they don't know how to date. They've been for they cannot date like they did when they were younger because they won't be successful. It's not gonna happen for them. They're in a whole different arena, right? And so they're scared themselves on trying to get out and do things differently. So that's why I said if women tend to give them a little bit more grace with regards to it, give them a little guidance in a feminine way, allow them to be a man.
How might
Um,
that sound? Because, giving them a little, guidance, that could also sound like mommy energy, or that can sound like I know better than you. So, how can a woman be in her feminine and juiciness and vulnerability and invite him to open in the way that you're saying, be
Well,
in
I
your
think that
feminine?
they
Yeah.
will because again, men are fixers, right? And if they like you, if you meet them right off the bat and they like you, they're going to want to please you. They're going to want to make you happy, right? And it doesn't take much for us to just be a little softer and then share what it is that we want, if we want to go out to dinner or if we want to go someplace or we want to do something, if they're capable of doing that, they will do it. So you have to, and you've got to have the door open. So you've got to let them know there's nothing wrong with when you're out on a date. You can say, I'm really having a great time. How about you? You know, and
Exactly.
you're letting number one, you're letting them know you're having fun with them, which again masculates them, right? They love that. And the other thing is you're also letting them know that you're having fun, so maybe there's a possibility of a second date. I always tell men, your job on the first date is to get the second date. The second date is to get the third date. And you just got to keep getting the dates over and over again. And eventually, you'll hopefully the relationship will grow and build and you'll start being comfortable, but you want to just keep that open and let them know that you're having a great time, and there's nothing wrong with saying, gee, I'd love to do this again. How about you? Would you like to
Yeah.
do it again? That's not being overly aggressive. You're just saying you're having a great time. I'd love to see you again. When you say I love to see you again, the guys are going like, wow, you know, and if they like you, they'll love seeing you too. But a lot of times, and I talk to a lot of my friends and they don't do that. They don't want to let them know that they're really interested. And so the guy goes home and he thinks, now what do I do? Do I
Yeah.
text them? Should I text? Am I being over aggressive if I text them and say I had a good time? Do I ask him again? Do I ask him right then before the date's over that can we go out again? I suggest for them to do that. I suggest for
Yeah.
before they leave the evening, if they like her, to say, "Hey, I had a great time. Would you like to do this again?" A lot of women will say yes, and then when they get home, the guy will text him or whatever, and then they shoot him down. So just be honest. I often tell women, would you date yourself? Would you want him to treat you, or would you want to be treated like this? So don't treat him like that. Just be straight up. Just
Yeah.
be honest, as you're moving forward. And that's just the way it works. If you do that, it creates a softer environment for both you and him, and it allows you opportunity to grow, within and build the relationship because that's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to fall in love the first date. You're trying to just start to build a relationship, get to know each other and move forward. We put too much stuff in right away. We just take our time and build, and what a glorious thing that is.
It so is. And to relax and enjoy the journey and not overthink it. In the beginning, especially, you're just getting to know each other. And I love how you're really emphasizing to be honest and to treat them the way you want to be treated. And people are just so in their heads. And it's like, just be honest and be courageous enough to share your truth. And look, if somebody's afraid, if you're afraid to be honest with somebody in person, there's nothing wrong with going home and texting him and saying, I really did enjoy. And as I'm sitting with this, I'm sorry. I'm feeling that this may not be a fit. Just be honest, do the best you can. It's human beings with histories and everybody wants to put their best foot forward and you don't know each other until you do. And that takes time. Here's an interesting question. I'm curious if this ever comes up for you. And it's a big question that everybody asks. And as I always say, these are all guidelines. Everybody pick your own rules. Everybody pick what works for you. And yet I'm curious. Um, the whole should a man pay for the first date? How do you navigate? Like, what happens with a man? Have they talked about what it is for them when a woman does offers or doesn't offer? Um, that whole moment of the check comes because I know that when I've been on dates, sometimes the check has come. I'm in a relationship right now, but if a check comes and the man just takes it and brings it over and they just basically claim that check. I don't usually say anything until you know, they start to pay. And I'll just say, can I contribute or happy to pay for the tip? Or I might even just say, thank you so much. However, that doesn't always happen. Often it just sits there and there's that awkwardness. And the women go, what do I do? La, 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 la. I need to be in my feminine. I'll receive. I expect him to pay. From a guy's perspective, do you have any idea of what's going on in their head?
Well, I think most of the time in our generation, the guys kind of do expect to pay, right? I believe they do. Maybe some don't, because you always have the one off or whatever. But I think most of the time they do. I think that we as women should offer, and I will tell you what I do. This is what I do, and this is terrible, and I will be very honest, okay? But the first date, I will offer, would you like for me to contribute? Now, usually the first date, I just do like a coffee date or a drink or something like that. I don't do something big, because I feel like we need to kind of get to know, and I want to see whether I want to have the next date, which could be a dinner date or something like that. So normally I don't do a dinner date, I just do a small date. So I will offer. Now you're talking a cup of coffee or a soda or whatever, right? So I'll offer, would you like me to contribute? If he says yes, I will never go out with that man again. And I'm sorry, but that's just me. And the reason I don't is because I figure if he can't cover 2 cups of coffee, then I just don't think we're made for each other. It's just my own personal opinion. Now,
Exactly. This is how it works for you. Keep
right.
going.
This is how it works for me. So but now let's say you're on to the second date, right? And you go and he's going to pay. And you can also ask them, would you like for me to contribute? And if he says no, then of course thank him. If he says yes, then go ahead and contribute. But I also think what we can do as women is that we can be extremely gracious and be very thankful for our meal. But also when we're ordering, we could be thoughtful because I have had friends, that have ordered the most expensive thing on the menu as a test, which I think is terrible. And so let's be gracious about when we're ordering. Let's keep it down because you've got to think if they are dating, they are spending a great deal of money and we are not because we're women and we're not paying for some of this stuff. So let's be a little bit more gracious about that. And then I think about the third date or whatever, if you start to think he's really a great guy, then maybe you want to invite him over for dinner or something, or do something for him special. Do something that he knows that you equally, want to show him that you care because him buying your meals and all of that is showing that he cares about you. He wants to spend time with you. You want to also do the same thing. So again, it's keeping yourself in check. Would I do that? Would I want someone to behave that way to me? And so always do the same thing. Always be, very gracious and polite and all of that. And but keep your expectations down and be prepared. Always be prepared to pay for the meal if you have to pay for your meal. And then make your decision whether you like them and you want to have another date. It's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. Very wise words. And we don't know their financial situation either. It's like, and yes, if they're dating, that's a heavy load on them, especially if they are struggling financially, because who are we to know what their situation is? And it's not our place to ask at that point. I mean, you can, but again, these are all the, guidelines of what to do and what not to do. Um, how does the guy feel when, like, have you ever spoken to some guys, and maybe you haven't, around what their feeling is about that kind of expectation at our age that men should pay? Are they just accepting it, or do they have some resentment about it? Like, where are they at?
Yeah, they don't like it, especially if they feel like later on you were just leading them on for a meal. Because
Yeah.
there are women out there that do that. They go out,
Yeah.
they just want a meal. And so they'll go out with some and they have no intention of really having a relationship with them. They'll just have a couple meals and then when the guy starts to think, well, maybe we're, getting a little more serious, then they blow them off and they realize it was just because they wanted dinner or they'll pick an expensive restaurant to go to or something like that. And so yeah, so they feel a little bit resentment when they're having to spend a lot of money. And so yeah, sometimes I hear it over and over again that they don't like that, but they do understand it's part of the territory. It's part of the
Well,
territory to
it
be the
kind of
guy.
sucks. I mean, you kind of feel like you're being used. Here you are being generous and gracious and doing what you think is expected of you. Um, it's a tricky place. Money is a tricky place, whether it's dating or you're in a relationship or anything. Money is a challenging thing because we all have so many different beliefs around it. Yeah, it boggles the mind that in my mind that anybody would go out with someone just for a free meal. But I get it. Everybody's doing different things, and that's why who you're being, how you know how to navigate before you even enter that first date, getting really clear about what you want, how you want it, and again, how you want your life to be. I mean, all that work needs to be, I always say, going online and dating is the cart before the horse. If you haven't emptied out the past and you've haven't let go of the bitterness or all the stories around shoulda, woulda, coulda, it's going to come with you. And to be able to enter into the dating realm curious and open and willing to connect and just kind of navigate some uncomfortable moments like who pays the check, but to be able to be present for it and know that you've got your own back. I mean, that's when things can really, really be beautiful. But ultimately, there are those people. There are those men, I'm sure, that think paying for the date still, oh, good, maybe I'll get some action after. I'm sure there are men like that too. So, there are people with agendas, and then there are people that just really want to meet good people. And would you say there are still good guys out there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think most guys don't mind picking up the tab because if they had a great night with someone, if they take you out and they're having a lot of fun and they're really enjoying themselves, most of the time they don't mind picking up the tab. They really do love spending the time with you. And so they want another date. They want to be able to continue on and keep going with it. And so it's you that have to decide whether this person is someone that you do see that maybe you could build something long term with them or maybe they're just going to end up being a good friend. And so you just have to kind of judge that yourself. But most of the time, I think that yeah, the guys really don't mind, and they love being with women. They want something. It's not all about sex. It's also about being with the opposite sex. We love being with as women. We love being with the opposite sex as equally they love being with us. And good men, there are many, many, many good men out there, and there's a lot of good available men. It's just really going out and getting out of the house and start dating and meeting them.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you. I'm always saying there's great men out there. We just have to be open to going out there and meeting them. And again, being aligned with who we are. Thank you for answering that though, because I say it all the time, but I'm like, here's another person who knows her stuff, that knows that there are some really amazing men out there. In fact, you do a lot of events that bring in a lot of men. So, you're in that world a lot. Tell us more about how people can connect with you and learn more from you. I mean, I know you have a meetup. Can you share about that?
Yeah, I have a couple different meetups. One is a singles group. It's singles want to date, 40 through 70-ish. And that one, it's kind of more local. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area, it's great to join. Then we have the travelers group, which is a lot of fun. I started it because I wanted to travel, didn't want to travel by myself. Terrific men in both groups, I will tell you. And they want to travel too. They don't want to travel by themselves. And they love the idea of being with women and traveling, and it's great. So yeah, so that's Going Solo Travelers. You can find both of them on my site, goingsolonetwork.com. You can just go in and click on them and join them if you'd like. I think we charge $10 a year for the travelers group. It's not a big expense, and then we do cruises and local things here in the Florida area. But we are planning some other things going away, and if you join and you're out of state, maybe we'll come into your state and do something fun. So that would be really a cool thing to do. But yeah, we have that. And then, of course, we have our new streamingnetwork.com, which is all of our TV, podcasts, and radio shows. So all about, singles. So yeah, so make sure you check that out.
We will make sure to put all the links in the show notes
Hmm.
so that you can check this out. I love that you have the local as well as the opportunity for people to travel. And so many single women are wanting to travel, and the idea of traveling with men. That's so awesome because often the men are not around. They're like, where are the men? But you have cracked the code on that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really
And it,
fun.
yeah.
Just a short story. We went to a festival, and one of the guys came with us. And it was mainly women that went to the festival. It's like an art type of festival. And he came and he stood with us the whole time. And every booth we went to go look at, he came with us. And I said, "Boy, you must be really bored, going with us to this. I'm really sorry." And he said, "I love this." He said, My wife died a few years back, and he said, "I really miss shopping with her." So he said, "I'm loving every minute of this."
Oh,
And he did the
oh,
whole weekend. He just went from booth to booth with us, talked about our stuff that we liked, and he was
wow.
great. So that's what I'm saying. There
Oh.
are great men out there, and men that like to do the things you like to do. So yeah, let's get together and have some fun.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, thanks, Cece. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing about what men are thinking and feeling too, and letting everybody know how to navigate the dating realm, because there are ways to do it that work and there are ways that crash and burn. So, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you, and I love everything that you do too. You really help a lot of people, and you're just wonderful. So I want to thank you for what you're doing because I know that you're making a difference. So, and it's a joy to be on your show. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. I absolutely love bringing on guests like you and supporting women in the second half of life to have next level love, and that's why I brought you on. So thank you. And for those of you that are listening and watching, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Like the episode, and even better, share it. Share this episode with a friend if you got value from it. And I'm sure you did, because that's how we spread the word. And that's how we help other women to rise up and claim this special stage of life. So that's our episode for today. And I will see you next time. One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.